Hi, Misha here, and I'm not really keen on repeating myself or doing videos of the same topic, but I think in this instance I'm going to have to, because every day I get questions about quote-unquote AK74s or rifles in 5.45, what to buy, where to buy, yada yada. The simple answer is there are none. Not today, not on the new primary market. You're stuck with secondary. A little under 2 years ago, did a video saying why the 5.45 cartridge, the AK74, is no more in America. I went through all of our past imports using most of the same rifles I brought out today again, talking about who made it, why, reasons. And a few people pointed out that, oh no, they're still around, you can get this or that, mostly focusing on the Bulgarian SLR-104 UR, this one up here. Well, a month or so back I did a video on this, I put different furniture on one for a customer. These are out of stock now, and no more are expected in, according to Arsenal. And as I said in that video in 2018, what they were selling then were, older stock guns. It wasn't a fresh import batch. The same exact thing happened with this gun here, the 104 FR. They imported them back 2013, 2014, but they were still selling them through 2016 into maybe 2017. It takes time. These companies import in large numbers because it's more economical, and they will convert them into military spec as they need them and as they have parts come available. So some guns might sit in the sporter form in a warehouse. There's been a lot of interest in 5.45 this year, and if you don't excuse me, I'm going to sit down. It's basically going to be a chat video, but something for you to look at, hopefully. And at SHOT Show this year, there was a lot of talk about 5.45, especially from Palmetto State Armory. Kalashnikov USA kind of talked about getting in the game, and you never know about Century. They definitely talked more about the 5.56 than they did the 5.45, but I think people were optimistic. Okay, as of the end of April 2020, Palmetto State and Kalashnikov USA have not released anything in the 5.45 camp. And with this whole COVID thing, I'm sure whatever projections, whatever timetables they did have, are completely tossed out the window now. Also, both companies really did seem more interested in 5.56 over 5.45. These are pretty much our only hopes for new production 5.45 guns, because our imports are gone. I said that in 2018, and it's just as true today. Let's start here. This is my SAR-2, which actually you just saw recently in a Gun of the Day video. Didn't expect to have it out again soon, but here we are. This was really the first imported 5.45 gun. Well, not the SAR-2, but other Romanian Cugir guns like the Romac 2, Ker 2, WOM 2, which led to the SAR-2 in 1999, and then that gave way to the Wasser 2 around 2003-2004. And the Wasser 2, very similar to this except non-dimpled receiver, and it It was discontinued by Century in 2013 due to poor sales, at least poor sales compared to the 7.62 by 39 Wasser 10. So these have not been imported for over half a decade. And this is a semi-automatic version of Romania's military PA86 assault rifle. Very cool rifle. I've had a lot of fun decking mine out. And up until a couple years ago, PA86 parts, not to mention full parts kits, were very rare. But thanks to Arms of America, some have been imported in reasonable numbers, not huge numbers, but several hundred. And of these, several people have done garage builds. And a few companies like Atlantic Firearms have taken the kits and done builds. So there is an Atlantic Firearms 545 Romanian PA86 gun. I'm sure it's good, but it is a US receiver and a US barrel, falling into the zone of parts kits. Likewise, my next gun here is the famous Tantal from Poland. Another kit build. And this is actually the only kit build on the table, mine, for the simple fact that a semi-automatic Tantal was never imported into the USA. All of them here are kit guns. In Romania, they adopted the 545 cartridge in the 80s, adopting this, of course, in 1986. This is still their standard service gun today, although they're trying to switch over to 556, at least in some capacity. Still very much in service. In Poland, however, they worked on the Tantal beginning in 1981 and finally adopted it in 1988. And just as it was going into production, communism ended. Not wanting to leave Radom, Circle 11 at the time, holding the bag, they went ahead and ordered around 25,000. And I believe the final ones were produced around 1992, give or take. But that was it. Once that one batch had been delivered, that one production run, the Polish military did not order more. In fact, even Radom abandoned the design, trying out the WZ91 and 556, which was just a rechambering of the Tantal, and then eventually evolving it into the WZ96 Baril. The Tantal was put into Polish service briefly in the 1990s, but as soon as they could, they declared it non-standard and then obsolete, even replacing it in some instances with older AKM and AKMS rifles until the Baril was online. Once the Baril did come online in numbers, that's when we started to see Tantal kits appear here in large quantities between 2004 and 2010. Unfortunately, many of the kits had to have their barrels chopped because they came in post-2005 barrel ban. So if you do a kit build, if you have the original Polish barrel, that's a huge plus. If you don't, there are decent US barrels, just know what you're getting. Of course, these became infamous before the Century Arms cluster that was, but what can you do? Funnily enough, of the 25,000 or so built, I would imagine a large number of the Tantals ended up here, at least in kit or semi-automatic rebuild form. There aren't that many left in Poland, and no one in Poland is going to be producing a 545 gun. FB-Radom says they no longer have the tooling. WBP says they never have and never will. Now, Radom did try offering a 545 version of the Baril, known as the Baril 545, incidentally. But while they had a few countries that looked at it, they had no takers. So as far as I know, they never did a major production run of that gun, only making a few prototypes and test sample models. The 556 and the 7.62 versions were much more popular. So don't look to Poland. We've never had a 545 export from them, and we probably never will. On the top is one of my favorite guns of all time. My Russian Izhmash SGL SGL31-94, a version of a Sega. This is the only true AK74M semi-auto to ever come into the country. These were originally brought in under the Arsenal name, later the FIME name, but in reality the difference was more academic and legal than physical. Unlike your usual Segas, these did not come in with the trigger group pushed to the back. They always had it in the front position. And they had a thumbhole stock when imported, which was replaced either with a fixed stock or a folder here. They came in with standard handguards and mostly standard barrel hardware. They had a cap over the stuff, but basically they brought them in like other imports as close as they could to military. Very cool guns. And Russia today is really the only country still actively making and promoting 545. Which is great, except in 2014, Izhmash, now Kalashnikov concern, was sanctioned, leaving us with the Molat Vepr in 545, which is great until they were sanctioned in 2017 also. So the two Russian companies that still make guns over there are both sanctioned, and that cut off our supply of 545 guns from them. Do I think the sanctions will ever be lifted? Not any year soon. I have a feeling if they ever are lifted, it'll be so far in the future that the Russian companies may not even be manufacturing 545 AKs anymore, or even if they are, American import laws will have changed to the point that this is not able to be brought in. The closest alternative, if you want an AK74M, AK100 series, our best hope, really our only hope for new production today is with Kalashnikov concern. I'm not getting into everything because the truth is, all we know is how their shotguns and 9mm carbines perform. Their centerfire X39 guns are still only on the drawing board, so no reason to speculate now. Russia, the best supplier of 545 guns, is out. China, who never adopted 545 but did make some for export, is of course out through sanctions. North Korea, who has used 545, yeah, as I said in the 2018 video, I don't need to explain why North Korean semi-auto AKs are not looking likely. Sorry, it's raining out, guys. Stormy old day here. So what about the Bulgarian guns? Well, I've laid out three here. These are the three 545s they've offered over the years. This is the original SLR-105. This is the non-railed version, but this is the version that came with the postman front sight, so it's a 105A. Pretty much in factory configuration, except originally it just came with US black polymer furniture. I put on a set of Russian furniture because who doesn't like wood? This is a fixed stock gun. This was the first stamped gun that Arsenal ever sold here. And these came in back in 2004 to 2005. People disagree over how many came in, but I think everyone can agree that it was a small number. Several hundred, but fewer than 1,000. Let's just leave it at that. One of Arsenal's best guns, really. And their first foray into 545 and stamped receivers. But of course, these have long since been on the secondary market only. And this is the only fixed stocked 545 they've ever done. They did think about doing a milled 545 known as SLR-102. But it never went into production. And that's all we got for a very long time, until these two came out. Now, believe it or not, the Crink version actually came out first in 2013, and then later was joined by the full-size AKS74 version, the 104 FR. They came out close together, but yeah. Now the difference is, receiver-wise, they're the same. They both have the same 4.5mm folding stock. They do not offer either, or they have not ever offered either with a fixed stock. The differences are in the barrel assemblies and such. The 104 UR has the short gas system, combo, front sight, and of course, it always cracks me up. People always refer to this one as the one with the long barrel. In reality, the barrel is the same length as every other AK here. It's just it looks longer. But the reason they do it like this is for import and easy SBRing. Back in, yeah, everyone's driving in the rain. Back in 1968, the Gun Control Act actually prohibited the importation of Title III, Class 3 NFA firearms for the civilian market. So since then, everything's had to come in Title I, either pistol or rifle. Well, a few other reasons, it wasn't practical at the time to import 5.45 pistols. So they had to bring them in as carbines. Now, I know some of you are starting to think, what, I bought a factory 104 UR SBR. Yes, and by factory, Arsenal means Arsenal Incorporated USA. From Bulgaria, these all came in with 16-inch barrels. It's just here in the US, Arsenal in Las Vegas chopped some down to the proper 8.25-inch barrel. So that's what they mean by factory. Same goes, of course, for the 104 UR Gambits. These unfortunately sat around for a while. A lot of people didn't buy them, and I did. I thought these were great guns because it's a factory-built crank, really the only one we've ever had. I did a video recently on that whole topic, though, so you can check that out. For the 104 FR, this came in around the same time, a little bit after, but pretty close. They were on the market together with the SGL31, so there was a lot of talk around 2014 which to get. Even today, I don't know for sure. Get both is truly the best answer. But this is an AK74 semi-auto, whereas the SGL31 is an AK74M semi-auto. And yes, we've done a video really comparing the differences. These could be had in a few different versions, mostly to do with furniture, solid body, or metal stock. All did have the scope rail. And unless it was like a band-compliant version, all had a removable AK-74 muzzle brake and bayonet lugs. Excellent gun. It's one of those guns you really don't have people complaining about. But they didn't sell. Not when they were on the market. And that's kind of key, what I want to talk about before I go. About people wanting things because they can't get them. As I was laying these out, I realized that, yeah, 5 out of my 6 guns here and my rifles are side folders. And it just goes to show you that the AK-74 came later when mechanized, airborne, and whatnot were even more common. And of course, with some guns, the side folding stock is so well integrated that you're really not sacrificing anything by going to it. And I do apologize for repeating myself on this video, but I think that in and of itself tells you something. There just has not been new developments in the AK-74 game, and yet I get questions every day by very sincere, very nice people wanting to buy one. The problem is you can't just go buy for reasonable money. These guns are shooting up in value so quickly now. Even guns like the Romanian that were kind of sleepers for a while are starting to kind of go crazy. On top of that, mags for them are getting expensive. And the ammo, it's available, but it's not as ubiquitous as, say, 5.56. You usually have to order it online. Now, the one good thing is, during this panic, it stayed pretty stable. But keep in mind, most of it is import. Now, if imports were to get shut off, yeah, probably an American company would step up to the plate, or maybe a foreign company, not Russia. So I'm not one of those people that says 545 is dead. I mean, heck, people still shoot cartridges that are 100 years out of date. Nothing is dead as long as there's an interest group in it. But people who say 545 master race are equally wrong, because in America, in 2020, 556 is the more logical, practical choice. There are more ammo options. Ammo can be had under normal times cheaper. It goes in many more guns. Spare parts for those guns are more available. Magazines for those guns are more available. The Russian 7 and 6 stuff, the military stuff, was banned, I should say, a long time ago. So what's here is what's here, and as it gets shot up, it'll get harder and harder to find, and thus more and more expensive. So today we're pretty much with commercial ammo, for example, from Wolf. Performance-wise, it's fine, but I don't find it markedly superior to 556. Now, when you're talking some of the military stuff, there's an argument to be made there. But if it's banned from import, is it an argument even worth making? It's up to you. I also have to wonder why some of these people are wanting a 545 all of a sudden. It's no coincidence that in 2020, over the last 2 to 3 months, there's been so many people wanting and asking for these guns that were pretty silent on it just a year ago. If you're wanting it for historical interest, for collectability, awesome. But just know that the prices are pretty inflated now, and who knows if that's kind of a plateau point or if they're going to go up any further. The way guns work, typically the price will rise for a while, and then it'll kind of just even out or even dip a bit and then stabilize. Just because you see something going from $500 to $1,000 to $1,500 to $2,000 doesn't mean the next logical step is to $2,500 and then $3,000. Things don't always keep climbing. In fact, they rarely do. And sometimes there's a peak and then they come back down. So if you buy in at $2,000, you might discover in 6 months, instead of being worth $2,500, it's worth $1,500. But if you're buying a gun because you just really want it, that may not matter. But if you're thinking it's a wise investment, you might look elsewhere. You should look elsewhere, because these guns have all been climbing. The only ones that are still available for good deals are these Romanian guns, or Romanian parts kits guns. Tantals you can buy, but again, you need to be careful who did the build. Segas, thankfully, have actually come down a bit. They kind of hit a frenzy pace a couple of years ago, so yeah. The ones that are still really peaking now are your arsenal guns. The 104 FR and even the 104 UR that people didn't want 6 months ago. And I will say that Arsenal is not going to do more of these. I mean, technically, could they? Yes. But are they going to? No. They can't even get enough 7.62x39 guns in. They can't even get their milled guns in right now. And what few SLR 107Rs, their basic stamped gun they have, are selling out immediately. They're not going to diversify into obscure caliber. That honestly, the reason the price is so high on these right now is because they're not available. If 1,000 more hit the market, they would go back down to the $1,000 to $1,200 price point they used to be, at least in time. I guess in this video I'm trying to think of other things people have asked me, but this might be a good one just to say, any questions you have, please post them in the comments, and if I or Jay can't answer, I'm sure someone else will. There just seems to be a lot of curiosity about the 5.45 round and the guns that fire it. And no, I didn't bring out the Vepr. 6 was enough. This was a very impromptu video. But yeah, there's the Vepr, and we've done several videos on the Vepr RPKs. Another excellent gun, but, you know, price. With all this COVID stuff, who knows when production. I'm optimistic to see what Palmetto State and Kalashnikov USA. If you really want a 5.45 and can wait, that would be what I would say. See if one of those puts out something. Of course, if you find a good deal on something like these, jump on it. Just know what's a good deal. Don't think $2,500 is, because it's not. That's an inflated price. But yep, they are a lot of fun to shoot. They really are. But I have to admit, 5.56 AKs are too, but the 5.45 shoots just a little different. I have been, with this gun here, a 5.45 owner and shooter for coming up on 20 years. I may not be the one who's had it the longest in America, but I bet I've been doing this longer than a lot of them out there. So when I say imports are limited and ammo isn't the most secure, it's not that I'm not liking the cartridge. I love the cartridge. But just because I love something doesn't mean I'm going to be dishonest to myself and to you about its future. I guess it also says something that during even the highest prices, I have not even been tempted once to sell any of these guns. I like each of them too much, along with the Vepr in 5.45. And I have another AK74 build in 5.45. So I have 6 guns in the caliber. But I have to be realistic. But then again, when I got into it around 2002, 2003, I knew it was a bit of a niche thing, and that's actually what drew me to it. It was weird, it was obscure, and I knew that ammo would not be easy to get, and mags might be a little chancy. And back then, your options for guns were just a couple. So going into it with that expectation, I was never disappointed. But if you go into it thinking it's going to be the next big thing, it's not. They tried that back when the ammo was really cheap, and it was popular for a time for various reasons. But as the ammo has kind of reached parity with 5.56 NATO, interest has been dialed back to AK enthusiasts like myself and Jay. And yes, Jay owns a couple of 5.45s himself. But yeah, any questions, again, post them below. If you could, like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like more meat, more details, more history, check out the playlist. We've done histories and overviews and shooting reviews of all of these. And it's a lot of fun. But yeah, if there's something you have a question about, this will be a good video just to do it with. And if you'd like to help support the channel, as always, please check out the link to our Patreon page. This is Misha, and we'll catch you very soon with a planned video next time.